This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, just leave it right there for a minute. Okay, we're going to start this meeting. We're having technical difficulties with our camera. I hope everybody has audio. So I need one of the two guests to say, yes, I can hear you, or no, I can't. This is a test.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Now,
It's muted on both of them.
one of you two that are on as a guest, send us a little,
My question is, are we muted on our end or are they muted on their end?
no, we're not muted on our end. The little red symbol there says they're muted on their end.
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you. Okay, so we're going to get started. IT has been called. We'll try to get the camera up and running. But we're going to get started because we've got a pretty good agenda today. And hopefully everybody will get hungry and get through this sucker before lunch. So, will the clerk note the people present and need a motion approval of agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second,
Got a motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor of the agenda approvals, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, here we go. All right, we're going to budget adjustment, which is the first item on the agenda.
Good morning. Agenda item number 1 is Resolution 24XX. Consider approval of Resolution 24XX approving budget adjustment for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. The New Mexico Department of Finance requires approval of budget adjustment when increasing revenue or expense in the approved budget. The Finance Department is requesting a budget adjustment for line items in Exhibit A. These adjustments are for various grants and other departmental adjustments. And I stand for any questions.
Anybody have any? If you, in case you haven't gone over it.
Utilities, myself, not put any more loans in for any request in 2022. We were told to go ahead and put in for loans for the reservoirs, reservoirs you've heard talk of, and this one. So we put in all the applications. What happens, you turn in all the technical data, engineering does, and then DFA reviews our financials. However they review it, it's looking at our past budgets and everything else. And then we're either yes or no, we're approved. We've been approved for this, 9 million plus. The way it's structured, it's 87% grant, 13% loan. Based on the 20-year loan, with a 1.2. This will be coming out of the general fund as drainage and roadway comes out of the general fund. The monthly payment would be $64,000 a year for these improvements. Now, the structure of these improvements, in 2000, there was a South Roswell drainage plan approved. That very little has been done. And basically, this is following off the recommendations from that plan in 2000 for the Hobson Road improvement. And by law, we have to have the ordinances for any loans. You gotta advertise it and do it twice. And council votes on it, and then the agreement process. And that kind of stuff. Stand for any question.
So how long has this been on the list of things that need to be accomplished?
How long has it been on the list?
Yes,
As soon as it's been on the list is 2000.
okay, all right. So where is this intersection we're looking at on the screen?
That's the intersection by the National Guard. That's Earl Cummins and Hobson Road. If you remember in 2021, the water came across the West Perimeter Road, went through Central Control, went to the National Guard, and it was flowing all that time. And so this would be not quite the west limit to this. This project encompasses from the West Perimeter Road to Southeast Main. Various stages of detention ponds, storm drain, little road work. Again, we're following the 2000 plans. So I don't know if those cost estimates of $9 million, how much will be done with $9 million? That's where we may start. And the first part would be to get an engineer as part of professional services, validate that the plan is still good, and then we'll be going to construction bidding.
Okay.
Is
Well,
this photo here of the breached,
No, that's the intersection of Earl Cummins and Hobson Road.
but is the water coming from the breached,
Yes,
Damn.
so this isn't from rain flood?
one, a little bit of both. A little bit of.
well, my only concern is, it's obvious this needs to be done. My concern is adding to our debt load, which is, to close the books, $81 million, an additional 1.2. And we've got the dewatering facility that's coming online this next fiscal year too, which is how much?
Total loan, $9.7 million loan total.
So you're looking at adding $10 million between the two of them. One of them is going to happen regardless of what we do. Another 1.2 over here. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you vote on this stuff. It's not the need to do the project. It's do we have the money to do it? Councilman Hildebrand.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. When under financial consideration, it says debt will be paid back through the road fund. Why wouldn't this debt be just a single line item and not through?
And it could be structured that way, Counselor. I just assumed that it would be the road fund and the drainage and that kind of stuff all under the street department and road funds. If we do these kind of projects.
Well, when we put things in road fund that take away from the budgeted amount, it gets a little skewed and not visible as to what's really going into the road fund for roads, in my opinion. So I would like to see these things taken out as a separate line item when we go through our budgeting process, that it doesn't get put in as just being taken out from the road fund. Because when we approve the amount for the road fund, my expectation is that's what gets put in the road fund for roads and not other items associated that get taken away from the road fund.
Well, and if you all approve this and it goes through council and gets approved, when we set up for the loan and everything, it'll be set up in the road fund, but the loan will be a separate line item in the road fund. And then as far as capital project listing, the difference there that we have to pay for the million,
Yeah.
whatever, it'll be part of the budget for the road fund, but it'll be designated as Hobson Road.
So it'll be a separate line item in the budget process.
Yes.
I'm fine with that.
Any further questions?
Well, so, Mr. Chairman, Lewis, is this, I mean, the flooding that we saw out there because of the rain and because of the break in the dam out there, if we do this project, is this going to prevent that from happening again?
Not the dam, not the river.
Well, but I'm just saying, if it flows out like
Okay, so
it did,
yeah, so I think I know what you're asking. So typically, without the breach, which enhanced the damage.
correct?
Okay, so if you can picture yourself driving down Hobson Road, from Earl Cummins to Earl Cummins, between West Earl Cummins and Main Street, you can see those ditches that are no longer ditches. They've been filled in over the years. And they don't carry water. There's actually a drop inlet there where the old Burrito Express used to be. There's a drop inlet there where it would be the north west corner of South Main and Hobson. So I envision fixing this from the west, trying to improve the drainage and stuff with the ditches and utilizing that storm drain that's there. Because if you can drive east of Main Street, you see that the ditch gets bigger. Then it flows along to the railroad tracks, and then it flows northeast along the railroad tracks, because natural drainage is from west to east headed towards the Pecos. And that's where we would start. So right now, there is no way to carry water along the ditches along Hobson Road till you get to Main Street. And to me, that would be the phase one to do it. And that was how the drainage areas were set up for the 2000 drainage plan, South Roswell drainage plan. It did not include coming drainage where the breach occurred and to the south of Hobson Road. I hope that answers your question.
But it does, but to a degree, I mean, there was considerable flooding and caused us some real issues at that point in time. And so I'm just wondering how.
But even when we have, when we have significant events, the water jumps the ditches and goes into that subdivision behind the new Allsup's, the new Allsup's.
Right.
And that's where I see the damage to citizens needs to be mediated.
Right.
So that's why I say, from my perspective, the west side between Earl Cummins and Main Street would be the most critical. Get that ditches reestablished, whether we put it underground with the storm drain and carry it to where you have the ditch bigger on the east side of Main Street, or do we set up another detention pond to kind of hold it and slow it down, so it minimizes the damage? Detention ponds are supposed to do, minimize the damage that flows down. But again, all that would be part of the validation that the consultant would be when we do this. I'd have to get if this passes, just what the sequence of events would be. We'd have an RFQ for engineering. And that would come to council to approve the award to the consultant. Once we have that done, then we would go to bid with the construction. It'd be a two-phase thing.
And this is just phase one because you would still have to go on the other side of Main Street, correct?
On the other side of Main Street is not too bad. What you do have would be phase two, Councilor Johnson, would be if you can picture the base housing south of Hobson Road, that gets a lot of flooding even without a breach. And what people don't see is that we've had the railroad tracks, the spur, wash out several times. That's the water coming from the subdivision, the base housing. And just, if you can picture the railroad track, spur, Hobson Road, and what would be the southwest corner, there's vacant property there that floods, and that's just where the subdivision ends, and it's actually a detention pond. It's not a true detention pond, but that's where everything holds, because the railroad tracks serve as a dam until it builds up and then goes over the river. I would envision a working detention pond there to address the flooding of the base housing there.
The engineering study would be for a 50-year storm,
100-year event.
100-year event.
Again, the study and drainage areas were already done in 2000. We were just, and I say it's still pretty accurate, because if you can picture what's developed on the south side, that part of town since 2000, there hasn't been a whole lot of development. Plus, the drainage areas are still pretty valid. A wood change would be the rainfall events. We've seen several 100-year events in the past 10 years, so it's not once every 100 years. It's another Mother Nature says it's time.
Any other questions?
Money.
What's your pleasure?
I'll do it again there, Mr. Chairman. We place on council agenda recommending approval of ordinance 24YY in support of funding the Hobson Road flood prevention project through the New Mexico Finance Authority with a total amount of $602,273 with the grant amount of $8,353,977 and a loan amount of $1,248,295.
Okay, got a motion.
Motion?
Second.
Second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Got a motion, a second. Any further comments? Hearing none. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Moving on to page 71, Parks and Recreation. Who's highlighting that one today?
My project as well.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman Committee, what you have before you is requesting shortfall of 80,000 plus. You can pull from the road fund for what's labeled as a Parks Capital Fund project. Engineering's been doing this project because, again, for the sake of the newer counselors, every now and then, the New Mexico DOT will pull out, I have RTP projects, rural transportation projects, and alternative projects, TAP, transportation alternative projects, which is basically your trails, your bicycle paths, and that kind of stuff. We're all familiar with the Spring River Trail. With this process, during putting in an application, we did the first phase from the zoo to Virginia. And then the part by the overflow parking lot for the convention center, we did that with the convention center parking lot. So this project is from Pennsylvania to Union. And basically, the project is the asphalt trail, go in there, fix the broken parts of it, and then just put a simple overlay on it. Now, in the past, these kind of projects have gone under engineering capital, line items. Just a couple of years ago, all the accounting that were in the line items was restructured. And it's all an engineering project. We bid this out once. And it was over budget. We cut some work out and we bid it again. It's still over budget. We have 236 in agreement with the New Mexico DOT. That's the budget for it that we have fiscal year 24. And what we're asking for right now, since this is a trail project, and actually, to me, part of, no different than a road project where we're gonna fix some repairs and then overlay it. Take the shortfall amount of 80,000 from my line item, which is called a residential mill and fill project, which you also have on this one. But that was, it came in under bid. And take that money that was under bid and use this to go ahead and finish this project and keep our agreement whole with New Mexico DOT and get another phase of the trails done.
Questions?
Isn't this an agreement with the feds as well?
Yeah, New Mexico DOT agreement.
Okay.
And the DOT, I think, has given us 225,000, and the total project agreement is 236. But again, DOT agreements and that kind of stuff, they're usually lagging 3 years behind when we actually put them out to bid, and prices have just changed since. We even rebid it, hoping we'd get it within budget. It didn't help.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I saw this project on the infrastructure committee, and my concerns are not the project. My concern is the shortfall coming out of the residential mill and fill, which I voiced my dislike for that, shall I say, and that we should find another place or make a budget adjustment, but not take away, because we know what our roads are like. And all we're doing is postponing that to a later date, who knows what higher amount. And so I'm in favor of the project, but I'm not in favor of being taken out of the road fund. And the under budget that came in from the 1.5 million down to the 1 million could have been more mileage put in mill and fill. So I don't know whether we can do this with a different budget adjustment, Janie.
We can, it's finding the money.
Yep.
So,
Well, I know there's $300,000 sitting in the cannabis tax fund. So it's not a matter of finding the money, Mr. Chairman.
So you could bring the cannabis fund and recreation together.
Yeah,
There you go.
but I just don't want to take money from the mill and fill, and knowing what the condition of our residential roads are in this community. So that's where I sit on this.
Okay. Any further comments?
All right, Chairman, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it seems like the road fund seems to be the low hanging fruit that we always seem to attack, and mill and fill projects are something this city is just needing. Unfortunately, more than the trail, but this trail, we're in too far to turn around now, but I think the funding needs to be found elsewhere.
Counselor Kevin, you got any comments?
Only comment I have is to go ahead and put this on the consent agenda, but with it coming from a different funding source. That is reading the action requested. It looks like we could do that and still get this deal done.
So this is something that we can use cannabis money for?
yeah, there's no restrictions on the cannabis, but it will require an adjustment to the budget adjustment that you all just approved, because that is part of the budget adjustment is the 80,000.
Let's do best in here.
So we would request that on the budget adjustment, the transfer between parks and streets for the 80,467 be removed. and reapproved.
And Mr. Chairman, just to say this again, item number 6 is the same thing as we're taking from the road fund as well. So just make you aware.
And it's also on the budget adjustment.
That we already did. But we can go back and visit. We haven't closed the meeting. The difference between these two is that the engineering lab is needed to do the mill and fill and stuff.
I have no objection to that. My objection is taking it out of the road fund.
No, I hear you.
No.
I got it.
Mr. Nahar,
Yes, sir.
how much does it cost the city per mile on mill and fill?
Per mile of mill fill?
Yeah. On a standard residential.
I think it's like 400,000, 500,000 a mile.
Per mile, so
Lane mile or center line mile?
Thing,
2 lanes?
residential.
Residential, 2 lanes.
between the two of them, we get a half mile extra.
Make your amendment and then we'll revisit the other item.
Yep. Okay, Mr. Chairman. I want to amend this item and that we would recommend it for approval for the Parks Capital Fund project in the amount, but the additional amount of $80,467.04 to be a budget adjustment for the 24 budget. And I put it on full council in case it needs to be discussed.
Okay, let me make sure I understand your motion. You didn't, I mean, it's presently out of the road fund, so I would suggest that the first thing we do is we take the amount out of the cannabis line item to make it clear, vote on that, then vote the project.
If that's, so be what you feel, and I make it
Well, it just makes for a cleaner record when you do it that way.
fine.
Okay, so your motion
Is that the $80,467.04 come out of the cannabis fund to fund this project?
okay, let's vote on that. Any discussion about that, the amendment?
No, and I'll second it.
And second? Okay, so let's get a vote on that. Those that want to take the money out of the cannabis fund indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, passes 4-0. Now,
Now, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the additional expenditure of $80,467 as amended and placed on the full council agenda.
I second it.
and we got a second. Any further questions about that or comments? Okay, hearing none. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, passes 4-0. So moving on to the engineering project lab. Mr. Nahar.
Mr. Chairman and committee, what you got before you is for funding a recommended carryover project, the 450, which is the old municipal court, now to be the new engineering lab. Again, for the benefit of the newer councils, in 2021, the engineering lab was moved to East College facility. And then that's when finance moved into engineering. And then in 2022, we were told to move out of that one and find a place. What we did was the engineering, the old municipal court. In 2021, the roof flooded and pretty well made it unusable. So that was a good place from my point of view, keeping everything engineering handy like it used to be. So just a picture, so you can picture how the municipal court used to look like. The ceiling, part of the ceiling came in and the lights still worked, except when you turned them on, they were on the ground. And we had to go in there and, do all the cleanup and everything else. But we bid this project out in March 2023. Then we had a little change order because as we started trying to fix all the electrical, we had problems. The 151,000 and also include a future change order that we're working on now. According to the state electrical building inspector, IT can no longer put in our communication lines and that kind of stuff. As it's under the guise of electrical subcontractors, we're having to meet some code issues. This project again was bid in March. At the end of the year in June, I did request this project to be carried over. Don't know what happened, but here we are. So the way I structured it is going to be taking 151,000 out of my collector milling field, which we still haven't bid out. I understand where Council Hildebrand's coming from, and then I'll be quiet and stand for any questions.
Mr. Nahar, it's not a jab at you to take, if you think that's what's.
No, I agree with exactly what you're doing, and I truly appreciate it.
And I'm saying that we need to find other avenues
Oh,
to
absolutely.
fund this. And on this one here, I know the city has $10 million sitting in a earning money market fund, earning at the rate of 5%, which is $500,000 a year. That's not been accounted for in our budgeting process.
It will be soon.
Hmm?
It will be soon.
Well, I'm suggesting that we take 150,000 out of that revenue, that investment revenue, and fund this project. And leave the mill and fill so Lewis can get some more roads done in this town.
Any problems with that, Ms. Davies?
No, other than budget.
Yeah, we'll do all that at the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
We'll go back and revisit item number 1, and I think from now on, maybe we'll make that the last item on the agenda. So we can revisit it. Take a vote of committee to do it, but we'll get it.
Is that all the change orders on this project? I mean,
Yeah, the 151 includes the future change order.
there's going to be no more surprises on it?
No, we're almost done, except we're down to the communication and that kind of stuff in. But the inspector was emphatic that our staff could not do it.
This also includes adding a new ceiling as well,
Yes,
correct?
that is correct. Change order number 1 was to adjust the ceiling, the new ductwork, and then also some safety considerations for the front door. I have lab equipment there. Make it so it'll be hard to break in. Again, it was electrical fixtures. And this next change order that I've already accounted for will be for having a subcontractor, a licensed contractor, get everything passed. We can have the internet, that kind of stuff. Those have changed, and the state building inspectors was emphatic about the school system and the city can no longer have their IT people do certain types of work. I just told my staff, don't argue with the inspector. What do we need to do? Let's get it done.
I hope they don't plan on moving this engineering anymore, right?
No plans for that.
Okay, perfect. Great.
Okay, let's make a motion to get the funding source first.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I want to make an amendment to this motion, to this request, that the $151,397.66 for the carryover project ITB 23018 for the remodel project be funded from city investment funds. I want to make it really clear to everyone too, that the city just doesn't have $10 million laying around. That money is because of timing issues of how it gets spent. And so just so no one understands that we just got $10 million sitting around not doing a dang thing.
No, it's all accounted for.
It's
It's encumbered.
It's kind of the float that's out there that we earn that income off of.
Well, you gotta have cash
Right.
to pay your bills.
Right, which is it's been a very good move by Miss Davies to put that into a high interest earning income account. So
Okay. I got a motion. Is it clear?
Second.
Got a second? On the amendment to transfer the funds coming out of our small investment, temporary investment, because it's a pretty fluid account, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, passes 4-0. Now on the main item.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the as amended item for the carryover project of ITB 23-018 as amended, be placed on the full council agenda.
Okay, do I have a second?
A second.
Got a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Passes 4-0. Now we got side loaders next.
Chair, committee members. Solid waste was budgeted for the purchase of 2 side loaders for FY '24. Originally, the PO was for 2 auto car side loaders to be delivered by the end of FY '24. The auto car is the chassis, is actually the body that sits on the truck. Curb Tender, unfortunately, they're the ones that put it all together. They married the chassis with the body. Curb Tender ended up selling one of our trucks to a large city to accomplish a large $10 million order, which undercut us by one of our side loaders. We were looking for a new vendor. We actually located 2 trucks, as we promised the council, happen within this fiscal year. The new trucks are going to get in. It's going to be a $30,000 savings. The new vendor is Heil. Go to the next slide. Heil informed us they had 2 battle side loader trucks that could be delivered by 2024 or sooner. All the specifications of the trucks were required. The collection supervisor, the fleet maintenance supervisors, 2 of my supervisors and the fleet maintenance supervisor reviewed the specifications, looked at the truck. They made that proposal to me. I went ahead and changed that. In my opinion, the PO that was originally cut to Curb Tender is they violated our PO by underselling, taking away one of our trucks. I did review that with the attorney. The new purchase is going to be through Bond Equipment as a company. They're going to be utilizing Sourcewell contract. The price of the new trucks is $830,767.34. This is a savings of $29,964.71. Next slide. This is what the truck's gonna look like. That arm is not gonna be that color, it's gonna be yellow. But this is what the trucks that be coming to us. Just for clarification for finance, these 2 trucks will replace Unit 316. It's a 2010, it's 14 years old. It's also gonna replace Unit 330. It's a 2015, it's a 9 years old, that's gonna burn, actually. So for that, committee chair, committee members, if they have any questions.
Questions, Sherman?
Was there a repercussion for them not holding up to the contract?
We talked about it, but I think that's gonna, that doesn't make it.
It wasn't really worth pursuing.
Okay.
We found out in
It's
late
those car
September.
number types.
He shows up with the money first. That's an interesting name for that battle, because it looks like a battlefield equipment on the front.
That battle truck is actually the chassis. Those are readily available. If you go with any other ones, you're looking at about a year and a half.
Really?
2 years before you get them. But these are on the ground, ready to go right now.
So these are already built completely up?
No, it's just not the.
Just the chassis.
Just the chassis only. The body on top, that's gonna be made by Heil. Heil's been very reliable to us. We did have one vehicle that had some warranty issues on an arm. We took it back to Heil. Heil reviewed it. They took full responsibility for the fabrication. The welds of the arm was inappropriate. They're paying for that repair. To $12,000 to $15,000 they're paying for it. So we do have 2 of those trucks that are running great trucks. Great bodies.
Mr. Chairman, I would say at least there's a bonus that we're saving money.
We need to save all we can find.
And it's all we can find out there, very desperate need,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And so my question is, Al, have you done any research to understand the reliability of their vehicles?
It's a relatively new vehicle. It's been out. El Paso's using it. San Antonio's using it. We reached out to them. We talked to them. They're not showing any major significant issues. The motor, the tranny is all what we're used to with the Cummins and Allison.
It's Cummings.
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty reliable.
Allison Tranny, they look like these from what I read on.
Yeah.
Um,
They're pretty reliable.
And I think El Paso's our nearest service area, correct?
Yeah, and they're, with Heil, we got a lot more response from them for our current Heil trucks. We get parts pretty quick. We got service techs close by. With Autocar Corp Tender, we're not having any kind of communication with them. We're having hard time getting stuff in, getting parts, customer service, diagnostics online. We're just not getting them. That's the big dog. So they get a lot of flow costs. We're the small vendor, so they're not gonna bend over backwards for us. So these two trucks with the two we have now, that's gonna replace half of our fleet with Heil. So that might be the way we're going.
Mr. Chair, just a clarification here. Since the amount was already approved for the same type of purchase, this is more of an informational. You don't have to send it to council if you don't feel like it.
We're just ratifying the PO. I just moved it from one to the other. The amount is actually less.
Just change the encumbrance.
Yes, we already did. It's already done. So I just need your blessing with the ratification.
Save money.
I'd like to take it on to council, just so we're absolutely transparent.
Tammy, can you go back one slide? Our clerk found one typo. On the third bullet point on the price, it's $830,867.
Okay.
Full transparency.
Any further questions? Guess I'm ready for a motion. What do you want to do?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Kick him.
Hey, this is 101 today, okay?
Oh, okay. You're gonna take that as an excuse?
Today, I will.
Okay.
Today only.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give Mr. Cabot a pass as well.
I just didn't know if you were wanting to put this on the consent agenda or just put it on the.
Counselor, I think he wants to put it on full.
Put it on full.
Full council, keep things transparent.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the ratification of a PO request for the purchase of two new battle side loaders from Bond Equipment in the amount of $830,867.34.
767.
This says
867 is what he
Well, I was
said.
reading this.
I know, but he
Yeah, they just
corrected it.
changed it, yeah.
He changed it.
Sorry about that, Ed.
It's on the second page there.
Oh.
So,
There you go.
yeah.
I got it.
Okay. I got a motion
I second it.
and we got a second. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Passes 4-0. Okay, now we're to UFO Alien Festival Memorial. And I have a committee substitute that I would like to have considered. Mr. Hess, would you like a copy of this committee sub?
Counselor.
Huh?
Chaos coordinators always.
Okay. We'll hand that to Mr. Cole. And I need one. You'll hand that down to Mr. Matthews and the bean counters down there. I'd appreciate it. Okay. And there's some extra copies down there. If somebody in the audience would like to get a copy. Okay, so are you carrying this load? Who's the presenter?
That's your name.
It does have my name on it, so
Originally had his name on it.
Mr. Chair, so at the suggestion or at the request of Councilor Arnold, I drafted up this little memorial from the administration's perspective. We would like, well, let me rewind. UFO Festival falls immediately after the start of the fiscal year. However, the internal mechanisms for reimbursement, things such as advertising and any contracts have to be done months ahead of time, especially when it comes to advertising. With that in mind, we would prefer if the council would give us some initial guidance as to how they would like to see money allocated for the UFO Festival so that we can get the ball rolling on all the contracts, even though the expenditures occur in the next fiscal year. The big changes, well, let's just be frank. We've hemorrhaged money in the festival for the last 2 years. We had about $300,000 in losses 2 years ago. We had almost 100,000, probably 90,000 or so last year. This is stuff coming out of the general fund. The administration's position that that's a little crazy. We prefer to see the money coming from the lodger's tax, which is designed for this exact thing. So with that in mind, we had 3 possible expenditures written into the memorial. First was $25,000 for fire, police safety. This is something that lodger's tax is exactly designed to support. This is a small increase from last year just because salaries go up as percent. The next one is $60,000 in advertising. This comes with a match, so it'll be $72,000. This number we come to this number partly through the lodger's tax statute itself. Lodger's tax requires that 10 or 40% be spent on advertising for the community in general. We had a little less than $1.5 million in lodger's tax for this fiscal year. Multiply that by 0.4, you get to a little over 600,000. So our view was that 10% of the lodger's tax being used for advertising for the keynote event that the city has stands to reason. And then finally, 25,000 for fireworks. Historically, the city has participated with fireworks. We would prefer not to be involved for historic reasons. But if a group last year, Church on the Move sponsored the show. So we have money in there to assist in any show, but it would not be our show. That's the way the current memorial is written. But again, from the administration's perspective, we really just want some guidance because we need to get the things moving.
Mr. Chair. So the last, I think the community group started talking about this in January of this last year. There has been a lot of discussion on what it should look like. First thing I want to say is to TJ and Miss Amanda, your work over the last couple of years on the UFO Festival was outstanding. This is actually just pushing through the will of the community. This is what's been brought to me as something that they see that they want to happen. There's been several months where we were concerned because we've been asking for direction, and this memorial giving administrative instruction actually can move things forward because we're behind on schedule at planning a UFO festival. And so the community is organizing. Councilwoman Halverson has been instrumental in the discussions and helping us kind of determine what that looks like and how we'll create a committee to organize a unified event throughout the city so that during the UFO festival, several organizations are working in tandem to actually create an event that's epic. Now, I think some of those things, I will say, the new proposed draft, I have not seen it, so I don't know if it covers the aspects that have been covered by the concerns of the people in the committee who actually work the UFO festival. So having something presented here that actually hasn't been presented in front of a group that has been planning this for 9 months kind of concerns me. I'm having Councilwoman Halverson look at it now, maybe she can comment. But I do think that the sanitation move, because our city attorney did an outstanding job of coming up with this solution to help us get things moving. Sanitation, please, all of that support. using lodger's tax. All of this actually helps with several issues of us using our general fund and actually moving it to be funded by lodger's tax. So at this point, Councilwoman Halverson, do you have anything to add?
I hadn't seen this either, so, but Chair, would you like to hear my recommendation?
You got the floor, whatever you want.
So in the past, Main Street Roswell ran the festival for 5 years, very successfully. And they didn't run it, they coordinated it. I would like to see that happen again. It's an entire community event. The Main Street Roswell City coordinates, I'll help them this year, and hopefully next year they'll be able to do it on their own. But the way they coordinated it was an entire committee of every organization that had anything going on. This year, I think we have a meeting Wednesday. I think we do have a meeting Wednesday, right, Barbara? It's Wednesday.
Yes.
And we're inviting anyone who would like to be a part of the festival to that meeting to discuss. You know, first off, I think the initial meeting needs to be, and I've invited Hess, a budget. They need to set a budget. So I did recommend that the amount not go in here for fireworks and everything. Because I think what the committee needs to do is meet, discuss what is eligible for lodger's tax. And as I understand it, is it 100% covered or are they having to do the match?
Depends what.
Okay. Okay. So I recommend that every organization present the budget and then Main Street presents that budget to Chad and Mike Matthews. And then they determine whether or not what's covered or not. But I recommend that Main Street coordinates. Because I think it needs to be a nonprofit in charge of, not in charge, but in charge of just coordinating it, to be the fiduciary and everything, to be the one contact with the city. Instead of every organization that has something going on at the festival contacting Chad or Mike, I think it should be Main Street Roswell coordinating it. And then Main Street will work with the city to determine exactly, you know, for every event, fireworks, whether it be, or the parade. Main Street would be the one going to the set committees and recommending what needs to be done for the entire festival, for the entire city as a community.
Any further comments on the presentation?
Is that what you were looking, Christine? I think that's what she's been working on, is trying to get it back to the way the entire community is involved.
Okay, so I prepared this committee sub, and it talks in the third whereas about reasonable allocation of city lodger's tax for the development of tourist-related events over use of general fund. And I took all the monetary numbers out of here because I didn't want to tie anybody's hands in negotiating what they need. It's pretty simple. So all that other planning that you talked about needs to continue under this committee side. Nothing, it just, basically there's some other verbiage I changed in it, but it took out the dollar amount because I don't know if those are good dollar amounts or not. I don't want to pass this and then have to retract later or change. We know what we can afford, I think. I think we've got a good handle on that. And we need to give everybody an opportunity to put their best minds together and come up with a proposal. And I don't want them to be hand-tied. I don't want the manager being hand-tied or anybody else at this early stage. Now, it can proceed as rapidly as everybody gets together and gets it figured out. But at least, because we're gonna see all this stuff again in this committee. So that's the reason why I prepared a memorial. I think it's cleaner. I think it says what needs to be said for you. And I'm getting a nod from the city manager. I know it's kind of a late deal, but I just got this, had to work on it over the weekend to get it done in the manner that I presented. That's all I got to say. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Councilor Howerson,
Yes.
do you believe that we need to place in here in this memorial that Main Street Roswell will be the coordinating group? Or are you fine with that just being an agreement between those organizations and the city manager?
Has to be, I think it's fine.
You think this memorial's fine, or do you want it amended to include, or Counselor?
Actually, I would actually recommend a resolution as far as stating that, because if we actually do dictate that it's Main Street Roswell, then it's locked in. And so indicating who would be holding that should be a resolution. This is just an administrative action indicating, because it could change all the time. So.
Good.
Now, they haven't, I don't know if they stepped up necessarily. Your board's already approved it?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's great. So they're moving. I don't want to impede the movement of any of this stuff. I just want to spell out what funding source we're going to use. So that automatically puts a limit on how much we can use. And it also says in here that the city council supporting the UFO festival ran by the last word in the last line on the document. So I think this covers all the bases that need to be covered at this date, on this date.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I mean, if we're going to have to come back with a resolution, why don't we turn this into a resolution?
No, we just need to memorialize it to give direction. And then, because we're going to get a resolution and also all.
But I don't want us slowing things down.
Do we want to wait on the resolution until we have our first meeting, we get budgets from all the organizations, we can present a final budget?
I think that the reason for this memorial is to give clear direction to our staff and all the community organizations that may or may not participate. Give them clear direction. This is the way we're going to go. We're not going to slow it down.
That's what I don't want to do, is slow it down.
No, it won't be slowed down. I have to have a special meeting, we'll have a special meeting. That's not a problem. This is not an impediment in any stretch of the imagination. This is getting the process moving and everybody has a clear direction. That's the reason why I did it the way I did. Any further questions? Comments? I guess.
Mr. Chairman, I think this is a great movement. Council, move this because we've talked about this and the costs, and we think we lost 90,000. We don't, because the accounting of all the thing has always been, but I'm not, I don't look at this festival as a moneymaker.
No.
It goes beyond reaching out and giving notoriety to the city of Roswell, attracting people in as an economic development issue, I believe, for these organizations to participate in this whole thing. So I wholeheartedly support this memorial.
And if I may add, the fireworks show, that's a completely separate event. I think if we had an organization that came and worked on the committee and would like to put on the fireworks, we can definitely make them support it. But I really think the city needs to stay out and put it on a fireworks. Correct. Because in the history, and Elaine can say this too, the July 4th is always Independence Day celebration. We never do anything on that day. It's
on that evening at least, yeah. I usually lock off at like 5 o'clock and move into the other.
Well, the time frame on this thing is very short on the planning side as it is.
Yes.
But I don't want to, please, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to slow this thing down. I'm just giving clear direction and enable the staff to, our team, our administrative team, to negotiate this deal. They know the numbers that we've got available. So let's move this sucker on down the road. So what's your pleasure, gentlemen?
So, Mr. Chairman, we need to go ahead and do an amendment to the memorial. Okay, so.
All you got to do is move the committee side.
I'll make a motion to move to full council the memorial providing guidance for the FY 25 funding for UFO Festival. Memorial 2401,
We're talking about the committee sub or the other one?
the committee sub, excuse me.
Okay.
That's one.
Any further comments? Hearing none. Those in favor? Oh, did I get a second? Second. Okay. Got a second? Hey, they both get a paycheck today. Like that? Gave him a pass and he made a motion. Proud of you. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Passes 4-0. Committee sub will be sent to the city council. Okay, moving on. Thank you.
Juliana, excuse me, Counselor Halverson and Counselor Harder, thank you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Here it comes. Mr. Glenn, you're up.
It's time to make some money.
That's good. We're all ears for that.
We're back in at it to do some disposal of assets that the city has. The new counselors, the process is this, if a department has something that they want to get rid of, that is an asset, it's turned over to the warehouse, run it through the process. This is the first part of the process where you guys approve, allow us to sell this stuff. Not all of the assets turned over to us are sold. If it's something that we feel is still worth keeping and used in another department, we have a warehouse that we store it in. You'll see on your emails every so often that we have a fire sale or something, and we're getting rid of, we're moving something around. We do that often. This is our first list for this year, and it's a bunch of vehicles that need to go away. I stand for any questions. On the stuff that we do sell, it gets sold on a website called publicsurplus.com. That does not cost us anything. The price for running the website is passed on to the purchaser.
Questions? This is routine business. We do it generally every month. Sometimes we have workshops along the way. But it's a pretty slick operation, in my opinion, or observation. So, any questions?
No, it just looked like we're just in the vehicle business. If you got your motor vehicle license.
You could open up a used car lot.
You notice there used to be a sign on the side of my door, my office door, that said Roswell used car sales.
But you're not, you just fire trucks and everything. You get it all.
Yep. What's nice about public surplus is there's some of this stuff that they will market for us individually, like fire trucks and the higher dollar items.
Yeah.
They do extra marketing for us.
To get higher value for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to put on the city council consent agenda for approval of resolution 24-01 authorizing the disposal of certain surplus personal property.
That's two.
Second.
Don't say that's two.
I know, I'm happy for you.
Got a motion, a second. Any further comment? Okay, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Passes 4-0.
If anybody ever wants to see the records of where things are, just let me know. I can pass those on to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robert.
Yep.
Okay, White Rock Construction to do some hangar roads that have been laying dormant out there from 2011 to 21?
Yes.
Okay, proceed.
Chair and council, this is to consider approval to allocate $800,321.51 to hire White Rock Construction using RFP contract number 23-053 for general contracting services to repair hail damage from the insurance claim 2021 on buildings 190 and 120, which are both T hangars for our general aviation community and hangar 85, which is Air Sales large hangar. You previously approved the roof repair contracts through an ITB, but because it was roof only, I needed to bring this forward as separate because it is general services required. Funding for this project will require a balance transfer of $591,327.62 from our GL capital improvement outlay projects. I'm sorry, not outlay, capital improvement infrastructure projects. When we did the changes in our budget, we had left a little bit of money at the bottom that wasn't allocated to a specific project just for this purpose, for us to be able to move these around. And then the insurance company will be reimbursing us the difference. And then there is already $195,841 in our roofing deal, and I'll be transferring that over into the M&R buildings account so that it's actually showing that what type of services we're doing. Instead of just roof, it'll be full contracting. The ACV that we've received already that has been put into our budget is $491,401.18 for these projects, and there'll be an anticipated depreciation to be received from the insurance company in this fiscal year of $308,920.43, covering that $800,321.51. Building 119's repairs are $135,816.99, and building 120, $186,704.46. And hangar 85, which is a little bit more extensive, it is the lean-to roofs on both sides of the large bubble hangar. And then the tall end, which is the rear of their building, that's got the metal roofing for $477,806. I've met with the contractor at the site. We walked through the building again for hangar 85 because it's so large. We do have some mastic that needs to be tested for some ceiling tiles that are here old. So the insurance company has already approved for us to do that. And the contractor has also asked for some leniency on having a correct height equipment. They gave him a forklift and a scissor lift, but if you know how tall that hangar is, he said he needs a bucket truck. So he's working that out with the insurance company. So there might be a little bit of add to this, but the insurance will cover it. Are there any questions?
Questions, gentlemen? Got a question? Nobody got a question? No. Motion?
I'd like to move to consider approval to allocate $800,321.51 to hire White Rock Construction using the RFP contract number 23-013 for general contracting services to repair hail damage from the insurance claim from 2021 on buildings 119, 120, and hangar 85.
You want that on the regular agenda or the consent agenda?
On the consent agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Motion second. We're training them good today. Any further discussion?
Got 4 people here too.
I know, that's amazing. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, City Council agenda needs to be posted today. So any changes, corrections, amendments, you can email to me by 3:30.
Okay. I'll take note. We'll get it done.
Okay.
All right. So we're to the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Passes 4-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. And the minutes, I think you need to make the motion. I need to make the second because we were here. We'll let everybody vote on them.
So let me get to that page number, Mr. Chair.
161.
Do we need to go back to the budget adjustment? We do this.
No, we'll do it in a minute.
Okay.
We'll go back to it in a minute.
Mr. Chair, move that we approve the minutes of the December 7th, 2023 meeting of the Finance Committee.
Second. Any discussion, any changes, deletions?
No changes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You can vote on it.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Passes 4-0. Now, I think we need to go back. What do we need to do, Ms. Davies, on the budget adjustment we did under item 1 to reflect them to reflect the committee objectives on 2 items.
The only changes would be down in the transfer areas. The 80,000 would be instead of parks or instead of streets would be the cannabis fund. And instead of streets on the next one, it would be the interest income for the 151,000. It's all within the transfers.
Where'd Mr. Hess go? Take him, that guy, he's never where he needs to be. Okay, so I think what we need to do is reopen it, 1, and then 2, amend it based on your representation, and then vote on the amendments, and then vote on the whole package again.
Yep.
Okay, so I might need the motion to pull item 1 back for further consideration.
So moved.
Okay, we got a motion to pull
Second.
item, and got a second. Any opposition? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 4-0. Now, back on item 1, let's do the amendments, and you want to restate those real quick?
The change would be in transfers at the bottom of the sheet to transfer 80,467.04 to parks for that project out of the cannabis fund. And the next one is to transfer 151,397.66 out of interest income from investments to cover the engineering.
Okay. So do I have a motion?
A motion to realign the budget
Yeah, as presented by Ms. Davis.
as presented by Ms. Davis.
Okay, got a motion? Got a motion and a second. All those in favor of the amendments that was just discussed, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Passes 4-0. Now, back on the item. As amended.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move that put a place on the agenda. Motion, make the motion of the resolution as amended.
Okay, got a motion?
Second.
Got a second. Any further comments, discussions? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, passes 4-0. Okay, now, back on item F, non-action items, information reports.
So for December, gross receipts came in at 3.5 million, which is a little bit lower than last month, and overall 12.67 greater than what was budgeted. Here you can see the 3-year trend and actual versus budgeted. Gray line being fiscal year 24.
Wow, another slip.
And on cannabis, it came in at $29,911, a little bit lower than last month. Overall, it's up 76.68% than budgeted, but that's with nothing being budgeted in July. And you can see the 2-year trend and the actual versus budgeted. Any questions?
Question, Mr. Chairman. Are we seeing any issues with the online gross receipts tax coming from the state?
We don't know. It's not, the report doesn't break it out. So we don't know exactly what is online. So we're sort of at their
Mercy?
yeah, and their honesty in reporting.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay. Public affairs.
For lodger's tax collected in November, all hotels reported with the exception of previous owners of Days Inn. They have new owners as of 9/21/23. The short-term rental data shows that we are about 67% occupancy for the month. Average daily rate percent change this month is up about 10% from last month. We collected $156,080. And that was October activity, but remitted in November. And then the convention center bed fee, the $2.50 for the first 1 through 15 days, we collected $80,079, which is about 69% of occupancy. We also use the OS, the short-term rental solution software, that enables us to see the listings that are currently advertised on Airbnb, Vrbo, or any other short-term rental sites. This will be renewed this month to help get property reporting, and then we will do training in mid-January. We haven't scheduled that yet, but we're working with OS to get that scheduled.
Visitor Center. You already covered that? I didn't hear it. Visitor Center.
Oh, Visitor Center, let me look here first. Visitor Center. November sales total 6,605. The top 5 items sold was the Asian glasses, the City of Roswell tea, the Roswell Art Green tea, New Mexico Outline Sale, and New Mexico Outline Black Forest. Online sales total for the month was $118. We captured 743 visitors to our online store. We welcomed 1,726 guests. Out of those guests, 914 had an overnight stay in Roswell, or 53% and 77 Roswell locals.
Okay, for the new city councilors, lodger's tax is different than bed fee, and the encumbrances are different, and different things are paid out of those funds, depending on exactly what the verbiage is in the ordinance principle. So you need to think about that, because as the year progresses, I'm sure you'll see some stuff, and it gets complicated to figure out exactly which pocket you're taking it out of from time to time. And so we'll get into that as the year progresses.
And the visitation has gone up by about 2,000 people every year.
Okay, excellent report. Okay. Anything else on non-action items that I've missed? Okay, public participation. So this is an opportunity for a few of you in the room, including Miss Rita and everybody online, to tell us what's on your mind. All right, Rita, you held your hand up.
Mr. Chairperson, City Councilors, I just wanted to update you. You know that I called the State Department, the Department of Interior, and I filed a complaint. Well, they took my complaint, they sent it to the Game and Fish. Game and Fish, Max was on it. Max told me that he cannot find out what happened to Scarlett. I got online and I found John Wright writing something, and he said the documentation permitting and disposal is the responsibility of the curator. I don't know who the curator was. I still don't know what happened to Scarlett. I'd like to think that she died in peace and she's laid to rest, but the Department of the Interior didn't know anything about her, and they don't know where she is or where her body is. Okay, number 2, because I only have a couple of minutes. Oh, I didn't tell you, I'm Rita Kane, very narrow, unstriped Mark Road. I'm changing my mailbox very shortly. It's no longer Chicago Bears. Chicago Cubs aren't in session yet, but next month it'll be. And I just thought that the Finance Committee should know that there wasn't any charge for the use of Cielo Grande for the UFO. And now you charge everybody else to use Cielo Grande. How come Cielo Grande, the people that used it, were not charged? Thank you.
I don't know. I wasn't part of that negotiation, so I assume there was some negotiation somewhere, but I don't know. Okay, anybody online that would like to speak up? Anybody online? Okay. Members note, the next meeting is February 1st at 2:00. And I suspect we're going to have an ordinance at the first city council meeting outlining all the meetings for all the various committees as to dates and times. All right?
The open meetings, the new OMA? The OMA?
Okay. So anything further? Once, twice, question?
No, sir.
Question? Anybody have a question?
Sure.
Okay, we're adjourned. See you all in February.